Hello everyone. In this demo, I'll guide you through the process of running a SES storage node. Detailed documentation is available on the Core Documentation Storage Node Setup page, which can be found on our official website, ses.network. Inside Build, Document. From here, you can navigate to SES Miners, Storage Miners, Running a Storage Node. To run a storage node, there are some minimum system requirements, like Linux 64-bit operating system with at least 4 CPU cores and 8 GB of RAM. You will also need a public IP with a minimum bandwidth of 5 megabits per second. You will also need Docker installed on your server. You can follow the official Docker documentation to install the Docker. If your firewall is enabled, you'll need to enable port 4001. For Ubuntu, you can execute sudo ufw allow 4001 from your terminal. Let me log into my server and enable port 4001. Next, if you have an additional hard drive connected to your server, you can follow this documentation to mount your drive. I'll skip this section. To run a storage node, you will need at least 2 wallet accounts, earning account, which is used for receiving storage rewards, and staking account, which is used for staking TSES to become a storage node. You can either use the same staking account for a signature account, or if you don't specify a staking account, you will need to create at least a signature account that will be used for staking as well. Currently in SES Test Network, we will need at least 4,000 TSES staked per terabyte of storage. Let's navigate to our SES Explorer testnet.ses.cloud. From here, we can navigate to the Accounts section. Here you will see that I've already created a few wallet accounts and funded with some TSES tokens. If you don't have tokens, please visit our SES faucet to receive some test tokens. You can also follow our SES account setup video to get your SES wallet account set up. Next step is to install the SES Node ADM client. To install the latest version of Node ADM, visit the SES Node ADM GitHub page to check for the latest release version. The latest version at the time of this video is version 0.5.7. So let's replace x.x.x with this version. Next, we'll need to unzip or untar the file. Execute tar-zxvf version 0.5.7 tar-gz. This will unzip our files in the SES Node ADM version 0.5.7 directory. Let's cd into the directory and execute ./install.sh. Make sure to add sudo if you are not a root user. Once the client is installed, you will see Install SES Node ADM Success message. If you already have an existing node running, you can stop and purge the old settings by executing sudo ses stop, followed by sudo ses down, and finally sudo ses purge. Before we configure our SES client, it is important to make sure that we have selected the correct network. For testnet, let's execute sudo ses profile testnet. This will tell our Node ADM client to generate a configuration for the testnet. Now let's configure our client, execute sudo ses config set. Since we want to be a storage node, we will enter storage. We will leave the default listener port to 15001. In the next step, if you would like to connect your storage node to an external SES chain, enter the WebSocket URL here. By default, the SES node connects to the local instance of the SES chain. We will leave it as default, which is a local chain. In Enter SES Earning Account, let's enter our earning account address. Go back to SES Explorer, click on the earning account icon, and copy the address. In the next step, copy the staking account mnemonic and paste it in Enter SES Storage signature account phrase. If you would like to store storage node files in a specific directory, you can specify them here. I'll leave it as default. It says the directory does not exist. do you need to create it for you? And I'll enter Y. Let's enter the amount of storage space we would like to offer the SES network. I'll enter 50 gigs. Enter the number of CPU cores used for mining. I'll leave it as default, which will use all the available cores of your server. Next, enter your signature account. I'll skip this because my staking account is the same. I'm currently not running any trusted execution environment workers myself, so I'll use the default settings for which will fetch the TEE works available in the SES network. In case you are running your TEE worker, you can specify such here. This is now downloading all the Docker images required to run a storage node. We can find the configuration files inside /build directory. Let's cat and see our configuration file. You will see the configurations that we entered previously. Now we can start our storage node. Let's execute sudo ses start. We can check our chain status by executing docker logs chain. This shows that our chain is now started and will sync all the blocks from the network. We can also check the status of our storage node. For that, let's execute sudo ses miner stat. The first thing to see is the state of our storage node. Since we just started our node status is not ready, which will change to positive once our chain is fully synced. Here we can see the declared space falls under the 1 terabyte category, then the amount to stake tokens is 4,000 TSES. We can also see our storage node peer ID and some other information like validated space, used space, etc. We can also check the status of our storage miner from the SES Explorer. Let's head back to Explorer and navigate to Developer Chain State. Then select SMiner and Miner items from the dropdown. Select our staking account and click on plus. Mostly, the information you get here is the same as when we executed our command. You can also check the stake amount and transferable amount from the Explorer account section. We have already seen these commands, so let's skip this section. To increase miner staked tokens, we can execute sudo ses miner increase staking, followed by the amount of tokens to be staked. Let's try this command and increase our stake with 1000 TSES. This will give us a transaction ID. Once our transaction gets mined, our stake tokens will increase to 5,000 TSES. Similarly, there are other commands like withdrawing stake tokens, query reward information, claim rewards, updating node client, changing earning account, exiting SES network, etc. To upgrade your SES client, you'll need to follow these steps. First, stop your SES node, sudo ses stop, then close your Docker images, sudo ses down. Finally, purge your data with sudo ses purge. Then download and install the latest client. This is all for this demo on how to set up a storage node. Thank you so much and have a great day.